Watts was one of the most famous painters of the 19th century, and he's an unusual artist in that he was incredibly ambitious. He wanted to address the human condition through taking on some of the great themes from the past, classical themes, biblical themes, mythological ones, but also address some of the social concerns of his own day, such as poverty, commerce, greed. He created his own visual language, he created his own mythology, his own subject matter, and a very individual technique. It's a very sort of heavy, textured technique, where the emphasis tends to be on abstract elements and on sort of vaporized, dissolving forms, rather than the images being immediately legible and clear. So it's really a symbolic language. Watts is, in fact, a very accessible artist. I think looking at pictures, for instance, in this room, in fact, they address concerns such as commerce, materialism, love and death. These are still issues which concern us today. In some ways, Watts is very relevant. One thinks of the New Age philosophy, New Age religion. A lot of people today question traditional sort of orthodox beliefs. They're seeking alternatives. They're seeking to create alternative belief systems. So just as an artist such as William Blake appeals to the modern taste because of his invented religion and mythology, so Watts does as well. He tried to create modern solutions to age-old problems. Vocabulary tends to be rather vague when talking about Watts because it's very difficult to define precisely what his subject matter is about. But I think he really wanted to reach beyond language or beyond words to touch some essential element of what it is to be a human being, and beyond that to address some of the key concerns of existence, such as the nature of love or death or consciousness. Hope is one of Watts's most unusual images. It's very difficult to actually define precisely what it's about. It's an image of despair, death, hope, love. What it shows is a sort of figure blindfolded, sitting on the globe, on the world, desperately trying to make music of an instrument, a lyre, of which only one string is left. It's the idea in the music which might come off the remaining chord. So I think it's the idea that hope doesn't mean expectancy. A lot of his contemporaries thought the painting would be more appropriately titled Despair. Given Watts's enormous reputation in the 19th century, it's quite interesting to consider that in the 20th century his reputation did begin to decline. This has something to do with the reputation of Victorian art in general, which was considered by 20th century modernists to be rather sentimental, anecdotal, or perhaps in Watts's case to be a bit didactic or moralistic. And also I think in terms of his technique, some people have found the textures of his pictures to be rather heavy, leaden and lumpy and a little bit mawkish. I think Watts's paintings are best appreciated when they're seen as a group rather than perhaps on their own. I think when you see them together as a sequence or a group, you can see how the different works correspond or dialogue with each other. So certain figures relate to other ones, certain sort of colours, shapes. And I think the idea was that these different sort of themes, like a symphony, would resonate, reverberate, and they'd somehow accumulate to total one sort of grand symphonic or Wagnerian statement. And then that's why I think Watts wanted them displayed against this sort of powerful red. The red, I think, is sort of a thread which would link them all together. So I think in terms of their composition and design, when they're sort of seen en masse, they have a very powerful impact